and welcome back to another episode of Tech Pro Unicorn Podcast. I am your host, Michael Grace. Today we're talking tech, but we're talking a different side of tech than we normally talk. Usually we're talking fancy gadgets and new innovations and all kinds of really cool things that make your life better. Today we're going to take that life piece and we're going to kind of shift it and we're going to talk about how you put yourself and humanity first in relation to technology. We're going to do that with Rob Krecak. Rob is a thrill seeker, self-professed nerd, question asker, voracious reader, competitor, keynote speaker, and business builder. When he first got his Wall Street job as a sell-side equity analyst out of college, he thought he'd made it. He bought everything he wanted on his wish list. He realized that he still wasn't happy. He listened to his deep down desire to help more people by leaving finance to eventually own 3 Anytime Fitness Health Clubs and 4 uBreakiFix cell phone repair stores. As someone vulnerable to technology's addictive hold from a young age, video games and Facebook in particular, we're going to talk a lot about that. Rob is on a mission to help individuals and companies reduce burnout, get back time to master their careers and lives. He founded Humans First, which is the company that Rob now does full time to provide a one-of-a-kind coaching experience that analyzes and coaches people's efficiency and energy by paying attention to their mindfulness with technology. Rob thinks there is always something to be learned from everyone. He lets his curiosity guide his conversations. And then in his spare time, he likes to do CrossFit, better himself through reading, travel, and spending time with his wife, Niki. Rob, thanks for taking the time and joining us here on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michael. I'm really grateful for the opportunity and glad that we can chat about something that I'm really passionate about.
Awesome. So you had kind of the dream job, right? I mean, people want that. They perceive that they want this. Oh, I'm going to work for this financial firm. I'm going to have a great financial career. I'm going to make lots of money. I'm going to buy lots of stuff, and that's going to make me happy. You kind of had that and then pivoted again recently to focus on this. Maybe tell us a little bit about your journey and what kind of caused you to make those changes.
Yeah, so kind of like my bio said, I graduated from college and I got this amazing job, and I really admire the company I was at. It was Robert Baird. They're headquartered in Milwaukee, but it is a Wall Street type job, and that firm won tons of awards for top research. And I was bestowed with a lot of responsibility for my boss, which I was grateful for because I learned a ton. But at the beginning of my career there, I wrote down this list of stuff that I wanted. It was like, furniture for my apartment and some clothes and a stereo system and a few other things. And I thought that buying those things would make me happy. And so I, bought most of them by the end of the first year. And then I was just kind of objective with myself. And I was like, I just don't really feel like I'm any happier or my life is any different, or it's, maybe it's materially a little bit better, but it's not like my life was some incredible, situation where I just felt like everything was amazing. It was good, but it wasn't any really different because of buying all those things. And so that's kind of when I began my self-improvement journey. And I said to myself, well, what if buying all this crap doesn't make me happier, what will, right? And, I'm not entirely sure that I completely 100% know the answer to that question yet, but I feel like I'm at least a little bit closer after reading a lot of stuff over the past couple decades. But, I did end up, while I was at that day job and I was working over 60 hours a week, so it was a very, very grueling job, I started my first business on the side, and that was, an Anytime Fitness Health Club. And, there was about a year of overlap when I was doing this 60-hour week day job and when I was starting this business. And, that was absolutely the busiest time of my life. And I wouldn't replicate it again unless I had to, but it was just really what was necessary to make the business successful and to make everything work. And I did end up having to take some money and put it from my day job into that business as I was, operating the business. Another thing that I did is I went from this really fancy apartment that I shared with someone. I was spending like $1,000 a month on housing, and I moved into a room in my buddy's house, and I was paying $300 a month for rent for a couple years. And if I hadn't done some things like that, I literally, my business would have failed. The month after I opened the business, I remember there was a day that I had like $2.43 in my checking account. And,
Wow.
it's so like I'm literally just, shuffling money around from account to account. I maxed out a couple credit cards. I was over $40,000 in credit card debt because I had a personal line of credit that I took out. One was 30 grand at one bank, another one was 25 grand at a different bank. And so I really was like all in on this thing. I
Hmm.
had to make it work. And luckily I did, but there was a period of time there where I was kind of doubting myself, and eventually it all ended up working out, but it was really a tough time.
So often we always hear the success stories, right? And if you read if you pick up like franchise magazine, right, they make it seem so wonderful. Like, oh, you just sign up for the franchise and you pay the fees, and suddenly you're rich, and it's amazing. And what they don't realize is that there's a hell of a lot of effort, whether it's a franchise model for something like an Anytime Fitness or not. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears from the individual entrepreneur that goes into those to either make them successful or ultimately they flame out and they're not successful. But it's very dependent on the entrepreneur.
I absolutely agree with that, Michael. And, I'll give you another quick story. So after I quit my day job and my business was generating enough cash flow for me to sustain my lifestyle, I ended up traveling around the world. And so I went to Central America, South America, and Europe with a
Wow.
backpack and I did that over a period of like 6 months and came back to the United States, which I really enjoyed that time. I would really highly recommend people take time to explore. But when I bought my second Anytime Fitness, it was in a state 700 miles away. And when I bought that gym, not only did I not know a single person, I didn't know where I was living, but the other thing that happened was that when the prior owners of the gym told the existing manager that they were selling the club to me, he quit in the middle of a sale and didn't come back. And so I was literally and the owners were 4 hours away in Texas. And so I literally walked into this business with not a single person to show me what to do. I knew not a single person in the state. And I had a luggage full of clothes and an air mattress that I used to sleep under the desk for the first 5 nights. And so like those are the kind of things that I wish people not that I'm not like that's not the highlight of my entrepreneurial career, but knowing that I had to go through stuff like that to make that business successful is what I wish people did see.
I love it. Yeah, I always, we like to highlight not the failures, right, but the struggles, because I think that educates folks, and then they can make a more informed and honest decision on whatever they do, whether it's starting a business from scratch or doing a franchise model or becoming a coach or whatever, right? I always say that the differentiator, I get to talk to all these entrepreneurs. Being a podcaster is the greatest gift because you get to talk to all these people you otherwise would never have gotten to talk to. And people say, man, you've talked to all these great people. What's the one thing that the successful ones have? And I always say they got hustle, right?
Yeah.
Like they're going to will it to be so.
Mm-hmm.
So, you see that Captain Picard, and he's like, make it so. And that's exactly what they do. They just go out and they do whatever is necessary to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So then you pivoted again, and you decided to start Humans First, which is where we're going to focus the majority of this podcast. If the listeners are like, "What is this? Wait a minute, I thought we were talking about technology." We're getting there. Trust me.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So Rob pivoted again and started Humans First, which for those of you that want to follow along at home, it's at humansfirst.us. And it's got like the coolest little, I don't know what you call it, like a little bit emoji. It's just got a happy face when you go to the site. It just makes you happy when you look at it. So talk to us about why did you pivot from being a franchise owner then to finding this as your passion?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to share my story about that. So there's one part of the story that I kind of need to tell in order to tie it all together. So after I owned the Anytime Fitness health clubs, they were kind of past their prime in terms of the business model being competitive, and so I was looking for the next business model. And so I ended up opening up 4 uBreakiFix cell phone, tablet, and computer repair stores in Milwaukee. And so I kind of joke that if you look at my career, I sort of have career ADD where I was in finance, then health and fitness, and then technology. But believe it or not, Humans First is actually smashing all of those together into this new business, this new consultancy that I have, and is really combining all of them, which is really cool. And so what I'm doing with Humans First is this. Our mission at Humans First is to help humanity understand how technology is impacting mental health, relationships, and productivity at work. And like we were chatting about earlier, I want to make it clear that I'm not anti-technology. I'm pro-humanity. And I say that because I'm a total nerd at heart. I built my first computer in middle school. That was in like the early 90s. I love technology, but what's happening is not, when technology first came around, like let's say in the 80s, right? It was basically all good because it enabled communication and enabled us to do things more quickly and was really helpful to humanity. But we've eclipsed the point where all technology is good for humanity. It's not all good anymore. And that's what I'm trying to help people understand, is that they're doing things to themselves usually that are not serving them well, and they're harming their mental health, relationships, and productivity at work. And I'm here to show you those things so that you can make a decision on, maybe how you want to change your behavior, how you want to change your technology use that hopefully will be better for you.
I love so much, right? My head is exploding with all the things I want to kind of talk about. Those of us with an iPhone, a couple of versions back, the iPhone now tells you how much time you're spending. And it was eye-opening to me. I was like, holy crap. Like, for me, it was like 5 point something hours a week that I was spending on my phone. And some of you might be going, that's nothing. For me, that's a lot, right? I am a productivity kind of nerd, right? I'm up in the morning, I'm voraciously reading, I'm preparing for my day. I come in, I'm full of meetings all day. I'm podcasting, creating videos. I'm like, go, go, go. I go home. I'm intently focused on my family. And then I jokingly say, like, I run super hard and try to be productive until like the minute I just can't anymore. And then I just collapse. I go to sleep. I get up and the next day I do it again. I like running that way. And then here's the phone that says, hey, you're spending 6 hours a week screwing around on technology. And I was like, oh my gosh, right? And I made immediate changes in my life. I was like, hey, Facebook is good. I want to stay up with my friends. I want to have some sort of connection because I moved out of state and that's where all of my friends are. But I'm going to really make a conscious decision to limit when I use Facebook, how I use Facebook, how long I'm on Facebook. I think technology has been like, oh, let's make people aware, sort of, kind of in a hidden way. Maybe they'll find it, maybe they won't. But if you really think about how much time we interact with technology in a non-productive way, right? It's insane.
Yeah. Well, Michael, I have so many things to share with you. But first of all, I just want to say that your story really resonates with me because, roughly 4 years ago when I started researching all this stuff for Humans First, I was saying the exact same thing to myself. I was saying, man, I am like so productivity focused. I've read so many productivity books. I've done so many things about maximizing time, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I already know that I'm super productive. And honestly, I like to say that I like to be my own experiment. And over the last 4 years, I have been my own experiment